If I ask you how guest users were created in your Microsoft 365 tenant, you'd probably say someone sends an invite, and that's only half the story. What most organizations miss is that not all guests are created in the same way, and more importantly, not all of them show up with the same level of intent or oversight. So in today's episode, I'm going to be breaking down the two main paths guest users take to get into your tenant, why some guests feel intentional and others feel like they just appeared, and how real businesses have hundreds of guest accounts accidentally creating security gaps without realizing it. In a previous video, I talked about the security risk of guest users and how they can actually be leveraged to exploit your account and cause breaches, so be sure to check that video out if you haven't already. But imagine you're working with a managed service provider, a security consultant, or an outsourced accounting firm. You don't want them to just see one file. You want them to access a shared team space, a SharePoint site, maybe even a line of business app that you're collaborating on. So what would a compliant method of getting them added look like? Someone with enough permissions adds the external user directly in Entra or in Teams. They assign them into a group, and that group is tied back to apps, sites, or roles. This is deliberate, auditable, and usually done by IT. And when you look in Entra, the guest user makes sense. Yep, that's our accounting vendor. This is the front door to your tenant. What really happens in most situations or most tenants is a step down where there are really no approved workflows for inviting guests, and by default to Microsoft, anyone in the organization can invite guest users. Let's see a few examples of that within the Microsoft ecosystem.
Hey guys, if you're looking for an easy way to look for guest users and tenants, as well as look for these policies that I'm showing you in this video, check out a tool that I built called Cloud Capsule. This allows you to do a rapid security assessment against the tenant. You can identify all of the guest users that are within that ecosystem. You can see which ones have been disabled. You can see how long it's been since they've logged in. So it really acts as a way to govern this within your tenant or the tenants you manage today. We also have this concept of a playbook you can use to share with customers, which is outlining the business risk of the accounts that I'm outlining here in business terms. And this gives you a proposal that you can export into a PDF for the customer to share. And this will outline all of these settings that I'm going through. We have automated checks to look and see if they're configured correctly as part of that. And we additionally show you a recommended remediation plan, as well as a protection by license breakdown to get into some upsell conversations based off the existing plan that the customer is on today, as well as a project proposal here in the appendix section. So this looks interesting and you guys want to check this out, definitely head over to cloudcapsule.io and book a demo with us today.
Okay guys, so first and foremost, the settings that I mentioned here that are wide open by default, if we go under the users section here, and we go under user settings, we can scroll down into manage external collaboration settings. This is where we have our guest user access settings. And by default, you're going to see these selected for users have the same access as members, which is the most inclusive. And then you're going to have this guest invite restrictions, which is the main one I want to focus in on, which basically says, anyone in the organization can invite guests, including guests and non-admins. So effectively, even guests can invite other guests, right, with this setting, which is pretty crazy in this sense, if you think about that and the governance behind that. But whenever we think about that, users could come in, depends on if they have access here in Entra, but they could come in and say, hey, I want to invite a new external user. And this, technically, if you work through this, this would be more of a compliant way and a user flow that would go through IT, to go ahead and say, hey, we need a new external user to collaborate with, or an organization, we need these members added, for this SharePoint site or something like that. And they would go in and send these invitations as well too. So this is one workflow where guest users would get invited, probably one of the more compliant workflows. But what I was mentioning here is what you'll actually see is by default within Teams or SharePoint, things like that, users will go in and they'll say, hey, I want to collaborate. So I'll go ahead and add a member to this channel. And this is the T- tenant. I'm actually going to go in and add a external user, the Stitch365.ai. This is going to be a guest user. I'm going to click on add. So this is done here. Now, as that external user, I get this email here that says, hey, you've been added to this group. And this would be the same if you shared out, coming to a SharePoint site, because I can even go to the SharePoint site that's backed by that team as an example. And this is the workflow that I get in here too, which is, you're basically saying you accept that this organization's collecting your log activity and so on and so forth for this. And then it's adding me as this guest user, right, within the Microsoft 365 directory. So even though I have MFA on my account in the Stitch account here, it also is creating me as this external user, right, within the Microsoft directory for T-. So it's making me get another layer of MFA set up specifically for the T- directory. I'll go ahead and skip past this from a video perspective because you guys know what MFA is. But the basic premise here, if we go back to the T- tenant, if I go look in the users now, I can actually find Nick Ross. I've got a lot of me in here, so bear with me here for just a second. But this is the one that we just added, this 365 Stitch AI, and we've got the external Azure ID invitation type as part of this. And this is where, that didn't require any admin approval on the T- side to go ahead and send that. And granted, I am, an owner of this site as an example, but I didn't need any more permissions beyond that to go ahead and get this guest user added into my directory here. So that's one method that, again, users can work around IT in most cases to, be able to do that and have these guest users live here with no expiration. In most cases I see, especially at Cloud Capsule, we see tons of guest users proliferated in most tenants where you'd want to go clean those up after time.
So now that we've seen both a compliant path and probably the path that a lot of guest users get created without IT intervention, let's also see the other path here that causes the most surprises. Picture this: HR is working with a recruiter, legal is reviewing a contract, finance sends a spreadsheet to an external auditor, a user clicks share in SharePoint, Teams, or OneDrive. They type an external email address, and that external user signs in to see the document, and behind the scenes, what actually happens is a guest user object is silently created. The user now exists in your Entra portal as part of your inventory of users, even though IT was never involved. This is where most organizations say, wait, how did that person get access? Where did all these external users come from? And the answer is the SharePoint B2B integration. So for the SharePoint B2B integration, here's the key concept. SharePoint doesn't just share files, but it talks directly to Entra and creates identities in Entra, but it does depend on if you have a certain setting that I'm going to show you guys configured in your Microsoft tenant. When this B2B integration is enabled, SharePoint is allowed and does create guest users automatically in Entra, as we'll walk through in an example. There's no admin approval required and no group assignment needed. There's no human checkpoint. This is great for collaboration, but it also means that guests may exist with no clear owner. There's no group context, and often there's no expiration for these guest users, which is why tenants end up with hundreds or thousands of these guest users, and many are created by regular users downstream in the organization and not from IT. So now let's go ahead and pop in and see where the setting lives in the Microsoft ecosystem, and a clear example of two separate tenants, one with this integration turned on and another without, and what that experience looks like for end users.
Okay, so unfortunately today, the only way that you can see if the settings turned on or off is actually through PowerShell. I will link the documentation for you guys. I'm not going to make this a PowerShell tutorial in that sense, but effectively what you're doing here is you're connecting to your SPO service, which is the commandlets for SharePoint within Microsoft. I'm going to connect with an admin within this tenant as an example here, and I'm simply going to sign in. And I'll approve this MFA request. But we're connected here now, and the commandlet that you can run here is get SPO tenant, and then we have this B2B integration setting that we are going to look for. And in this tenant for T-, it is set to false. So what this means is that when we share documents, as we'll see here in a second, this isn't actually going to create guest users within our environment. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. If I go ahead and click into one of my SharePoint sites, and I've got this team roster. I'm going to go ahead and share this out, and I'm going to say I want this to go to nross@cloudcapsule.io as an example here, and it says, hey, this person's outside your organization. Great. This is going to be copying this link, and then the new tab here, I'll paste that in, and it's going to verify this identity by sending this code. So I'm going to go ahead and send that code, and I'll type this in here. So there's the code. I'll click on verify, and now I have access to this document. The key thing here now in Entra, if I go back to T- this portal, I do have a lot of nrosses, so bear with me, but none of these are cloudcapsule.io, right? So this is old records here that were already in the system, none of which is through the domain I just shared that document with. Now let's pop over to a tenant that has the B2B integration enabled and see what that looks like. Okay, I'm in a different tenant here. This is Cloud Capsule tenant, and I'm going to go ahead and share a document in this marketing folder. And I'm going to go ahead and share it with Nick at Stitch AI. And we'll see that this person's outside my organization. So I'll copy this link here. Now I'm here in a browser here where I'm signed in as the Stitch account. And you'll see here that there's a little bit different UI, and it says sign in with your account and we'll give you access immediately. So I can click here, and this is going to redirect me to a permission flow, just like you saw when we talked about, sharing the actual membership from the team site that I showed at the very beginning here. And we can go ahead and click on accept, and this will go ahead and go through that process of making sure we set up MFA within the account. In this case, now I got an error message here. So now if I go back in after that error here, you'll see that we have this EXT. Again, we're being created as that external user within there, and we'll do next, and we'll skip over this from video editing purpose. So back here in this test tenant for Cloud Caps, you'll see that the guest user was created for the Stitch AI account here. And this was the same workflow we saw with the Teams aspect on it. But that SharePoint B2B integration was pivotal in the sense of actually creating a guest user where we used the code flow, and the other situation where that was turned off. So this is why it's extremely important to understand what your settings are configured within your tenant, but also more importantly, that you're having some type of access review system in place that I showed in my previous video, that you're periodically reviewing these guest accounts and removing, stale access or unauthorized access over time to make sure you don't have any of that unauthorized workflow where you could have that user breached and then they have access into your tenant in some form or fashion.
So with the settings I showed you guys today, it's all about understanding who is allowed to create guest accounts, which workloads can do it automatically, and whether those guest users are ever reviewed again. Because when an incident happens involving a guest user, the question won't be, did we allow guest sharing, but it will be, why did this person still have access 2 years later? That's everything I had for you guys today. I'll see you next week.